Hi, everybody. Mayor Lou Manzo here with you again. It's been a while since I've come to you in video format to discuss some things. So I wanted to take a minute to touch base with you today. Obviously, as we come out of this COVID cloud and each day and week, we move a little bit closer to a new sense of normalcy. It begins to feel good. We're able to gather with each other. So hopefully everything's going well in your world in reference to that. Today, the main reason for my reaching out to you is to address something that maybe some of you have received in the mail most recently. And I wanted to kind of set the record straight and give a clarification because we've had a few questions based on this mailer that landed in some of your mailboxes about a week ago. Whether you know what I'm talking about or not, I'm going to take a second and share my screen with you and show you what I mean. And not that. It's this mailer that basically references, as the mailer says, high density planned single and multifamily homes and get ready for more traffic on Route 322. And it talks about this proposed development, Orchard View, between Route 322 and Woodland Avenue, and gives a little picture of it. And then goes on to say the Harrison Township Master Plan has very defined objectives. The future of the township and the Orchard View development is in contrast to the plan. And on the flip side of the mailer, it goes into detail and basically pulls some words off of our master plan to reference, provide for the continued scenic and low density nature of the township, protect and the critical nature of features and resources such as wetlands, establish policies governing the development of land, and promote resident safety through design standards of streets, sidewalks, and so forth. And goes on to point out, word by word where they feel this particular development does not do that. Understand that, really what the point of this anonymous mailer is, at least based on what it says, is to address traffic issues and, master plan alignment and how this potential development does not do that. So since I don't have the opportunity and was not given the opportunity to directly address the questions and answer them and give some clarification to whoever it is that wrote this, and they took the liberty of putting it in some of our residents' mailboxes. We wanted to make sure that there's some clarification. And first off, if you are watching me right now, you clicked on a link in the email. It also includes a link to a detailed 3-page response to that email, to that mailer, where I go into much more detail. Today, I just want to kind of give you an overview and address really what the mailer is talking about. It's talking about a couple of things: traffic and master plan alignment. And the development that is in question here, as the mailer describes, is the one on between Woodland Avenue and Route 322, and I want to give you a look at that. So just give me a second to bring that up. So here we are, and you might recognize this. This is, Route 322 here, the bypass, Main Street, Woodland Avenue. Here's the Harrison House right here. So it's this parcel across the street from the Harrison House, which, most of us would recognize as the Holtzhauser farm, although it's not completely the Holtzhauser farm. So it's this area here. It's roughly 36 acres. It's been a farm field for generations. And this is where this proposed Orchard View project is going to go. The first thing that the mailer leads out, which I think is a pretty important aspect of this proposed development, is that it's an active adult community, meaning a 55 and over community. So when we look at traffic, and since the mailer references traffic and traffic intensity, when we look at what potentially could go here, and it could be anything from a 55 and over community or regular market rate single family homes with kids that go into schools. It could be retail, it could be commercial, flex space, warehouse, all the things that you could imagine that would possibly come up out of the ground. They are potentially what could be built here. Back in the day, Walmart was looking at this site probably 12 years ago. At one point, a shopping center with a another food market. No, not a Whole Foods or Wegmans was looking at it, where you'd have loading docks, backing up to residential communities and so forth, right off of our main street. So the first point is that this is a 55 and older community. So when the landowner who has had this piece of ground up for sale for a decade or more got someone interested that is like I said, a developer of active adult communities, and they came to us, we stepped back and said, look, at the end of the day, we cannot prevent a landowner from selling their property. They have the right to do so. And when we look at the possible options, whether it be today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now, this type of community is probably the best option considering the overall master plan that we have in place when it comes to both density, traffic circulations, and obviously the need for this type of development in our community because it's underserved. There's not enough 55 plus, housing in Mulligan Hill and Harrison Township. So that's why we entertain this conversation. Understand that from a traffic perspective, the county has the final jurisdiction on this since it's off of a state road and a county road. And they called for 3 entrance and exit areas. Right here, there will be one right on 322. There will be one over here in Woodland Avenue, which will trigger a traffic light requirement for the developer to put in here at Woodland and Main. And there will be another boulevard entry right here off of Main Street into this community. 3 ways in and out. There will be 190 units. It's 138 single family homes and 52 townhouses. Again, an underserved market that will be very popular in our town once it comes up out of the ground. The idea of this, traffic circulation, clearly, if we had a choice, what would you like to see go here? The first answer and most popular one might be nothing. And okay, let's say I vote for that too. We don't want anything to go here. Well, as I'm sure you would agree, government, local government, or any level of government cannot restrict, from a constitutional right perspective, a landowner from selling this property. So when that happens, we, the governing body, and the boards that approve things like this, are left with getting the best possible result for the community as a whole that we can possibly get. And that's why this 55 plus community became a viable project, because we know at the end of the day, that is the best possible result, both from a traffic circulation standpoint, because any engineering professional can tell you that the least number of daily trips or additional daily trips that get generated from this parcel is a 55 plus community, not single family homes with kids, not retail, not commercial. Do you want a warehouse or flex space spot there? It's not the case. So from a traffic circulation perspective, it's the best possible option versus nothing. And from a tax, perspective, property tax perspective, it's the best thing for the town also. Why? Because these homes will pay full property tax, but clearly they will not put any kids into our schools and therefore burden our schools or expand the need for classrooms in our schools. So it fits the criteria of the best possible option when it can't just be open space. And I want to point to the fact that from a comparison standpoint, we do have something to gauge it against and judge it against, which would be the other and only 55 plus community in our town, which is right here highlighted, Spicer Estates. We're all kind of familiar with Spicer Estates, right? So if we take a closer look at the Spicer Estates layout, and we know right where that is, right? This is right directly across the street from the township building. This is the shopping center. The 2 shopping centers that we have in town, ShopRite, Mulligan Hill Commons over here, and it lies back behind that, right? There is one main entry and exit point, which is Walnut Lane, where you can come in and out of. Though you could fish through and get into the shopping center and come out through that, or you could fish through the neighboring community of Lee Court and come out, Wheatley Meadows, and come out onto 322 there. So technically you could make the case that there are 3 ways to get in and out, but they're not directly in and out of the community. This has roughly 230 single family homes. So when we look at a comparison from a traffic perspective and the number of trips that are generated on a daily basis, though it certainly adds traffic to the, what is Route 77, this has never even triggered a traffic light here at at Walnut Lane across from the township building, and does not cause, tremendous backups. And the same thing here at Wheatley Boulevard. There's not a traffic light, and that was not triggered by this. And not to mention that that doesn't count this entire townhouse community with 125 plus townhouses and the neighboring Wheatley Meadows, which is another 50 single family homes or so. So we have something to compare it to. And yes, the 322 issue is an issue. But again, all of those traffic studies and circulation studies are to be reviewed by the county, and they will dictate what the requirements are as far as the widening of this road potentially, and deceleration and acceleration lanes. They meaning the county, was already told the developer they're going to have to put a traffic light in here, and the county, are the ones that required 3 ways of ingress and egress, as we call it, in and out, to be able to provide enough circulation. So at the end of the day, I'd ask you to read the detailed report that I included in this email. If you have any other questions, in that email, my personal cell phone and my email are in there directly. Everyone that I have sent that email to with the detailed report, some of which came in response to that mailer, outraged over the fact that this was happening and they didn't know about it. In the detailed report, I address, the entire process for the notification process for meetings and how that occurs. And for those of you that are not aware, and those that were expressing concerns over the traffic and the density aspect of this, every person that I sent it to responded in the same manner. And it was only about 8 or 9 emails that I exchanged with people, and they all said after they read the detailed response that they understood, and they certainly understand that. Again, I'll end with this: once a landowner exercises their constitutional right to sell their property and put it up for sale, we, in positions of governing body or joint land use board, are only focused on doing what is best for the community and the best possible option that aligns with our master plan, keeping in mind that the master plan is that, a master plan. You can't pluck 1 or 2 or 3 phrases out of the master plan and say that that does not align with this particular development, because if you did that, nothing would ever get built anywhere, would it? So it's an overall plan, the master plan that addresses density and how we cluster homes and traffic circulations and open space and green space and recreational space and so forth. So we're, focused on that. We have stuck to our master plan. This project does in fact align with our master plan. And I'll end again by asking you to read my detailed response. Any questions you have, reach out to me directly, because we're always here for you. Hope things are well in your world, as I said when we first started out, and I look forward to seeing you around town soon. Take care.